therefore, I think the Israeli authority cannot allow itself, cannot find in itself a way to accept conscientious objection. Because the conscientious objectors say the occupation is evil. The occupation must not be. Israel must stop the occupation. So the authorities are in conflict with themselves. They cannot conceive this, so they reject it. I'm doing a sort of a psychological analysis of the state of Israel. So this is the only way I can understand it. So the only way Israel accepts conscientious objection is if an objector is a pacifist. So a pacifist is not strictly against the state of Israel or against occupation. A pacifist doesn't want to join any army. So, okay, we are one of the armies a pacifist wouldn't join. That's much better than feeling confronted with direct opposition, saying, you are wrong. Yeah. So, of course, along the years, there have been exemptions for people who straight out in the open said, we are against occupation, and therefore we resist, and people were exempted. But when you have the numbers rising, or when it gets year after year of resistors, then the attitude changes, and we find that in the last years the requirements are to be a pacifist. Later I will speak about how we accumulate knowledge about what happens in the committee, so other young people can know and help themselves when they need to meet these committees. But in order to be exempted of this committee, again, you need to be a pacifist, and you need to be, it's known already that it's better to be a vegetarian, and to be non-violent, completely non-violent. Yeah. And then you have tricky questions on the committee. They ask you, and I think people who in other countries have gone through this, it all sounds very familiar. It goes like this: what would you do if your mother or your sister were attacked and you were there? What would you do? Would you do anything violent or not? And would you aid a wounded soldier? And of course comes the question, which is for an Israeli and a Jew, this is, what would you do in the time of the Nazis? Only if you answer correctly to these questions will you be exempted as a pacifist, because being a refuser to occupation is political. They say this is political, or this is selective, and this we don't allow, only if it's a broad pacifist view. So what a new profile is doing, except for the legal aid that I haven't yet spoken of actually, because legal aid means, of course, the intervention of lawyers, is that, first of all, it accumulated a lot of knowledge, taken all the tips that you can acquire by stories from all the people that have been to committees and or other ways of being exempted from the army, and to make a network of counseling for people who want out of the army, and they come out of their own will and say, I want to get out of the army, I am a refuser, what can I do? Yeah. So there's special people who are already very knowledgeable about those committees, and they hold simulations. They take a table and they sit people around, and they have the candidate, and they sit with her or him, and they ask him or her questions. And I haven't told you this, that if you're a girl and you say that you're a vegetarian. But you also have a form to fill when you come to a committee, and they ask you where you worked during your life. And if you say that you worked as a waitress, and you know vegetarian restaurants are not that many. So they say. So if you say you worked as a waitress, they say, "Aha! So you're not really a vegetarian. Not really a vegetarian." And so you worked in a restaurant? Okay, so you can be a pacifist and be in the army. So if we know that, then we can say, you know, note that if you worked as a waitress, this can be used as evidence against you. So new profile sees any way out of the army is a way out of occupation, out of resistance to occupation, of not holding hands with occupation. So one way out is via these committees, and we help the people who want to know about this. First of all, to know that there is such a committee, and secondly, that they can write to it, and thirdly, that they can prepare themselves for it.